Hello, everybody, and welcome back into Talk Off. It is Tuesday, January 10th. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm here. It's me, Zach. We got producer Jake. We got Chris. We're all here, and we're excited for another episode. Today, we're gonna get into a little bit of football. We'll go over the upcoming weekend in the playoffs. We're going to get into some Trevor Bauer. Where is he going to land after being cut by the Dodgers? And me and Daz are going to give you guys our favorites and our least favorites off seasons for the MLB. So it's going to be a fun episode. It's got to be a lot of fun.
Whoa.
And,
Jinx, you owe me a soda, actually. I don't drink soda.
I will buy you a soda. I got you.
You can get me a nice, refreshing
I'll get you an Arnold Palmer. Oh, okay.
What's your favorite Gatorade flavor?
A younger me would have said yellow, but I'm more distinguished now, so it's light blue.
So I've been really into the G0 Glacier Freeze because it makes me feel it makes me feel better about myself not drinking like a lot of sugar, but like the Glacier Freeze flavor tastes exactly like regular Gatorade, and it makes me feel like I'm sipping something from an ice cold glacier.
Yeah, okay. They literally just call it Glacier Freeze, so you feel like you're drinking from a glacier. I don't know. It does it taste like a glacier? Doesn't it?
It's all
taste
about
like
the
cherries?
experience. It's about the experience, okay?
All right, sorry, man. So we are recording about an hour before the college football championship. Very exciting game about to come up between TCU and Georgia. I'm still high on Georgia, but it's going to be a fun game tonight.
Do you think Nick Saban, because I see he's on the pregame show right now, do you think he's pretty mad that he has to be there and not coaching in the game? Or do you think it's, at this rate it's like, whatever, I've won. I've been to this dance a few times.
No, he's honestly probably pissed off. And he has to be there to make some money. But does he really have to be there? I love when look at Pat McAfee. I love when he looks so distinguished. Puts on his suit like he's an actual analyst. He's just an idiot. He's hilarious. I fucking love him. But he puts on his little suit like he's all official, like he knows stuff. Come on. He's a comedian, basically.
And he had a hell of a leg.
Did have hell of a leg.
Leg? I gotta pronounce that L.
Leg.
Okay, I got it down.
People that say leg, like egg?
It's not me.
I think it is you.
So tough night last night. My Green Bay Packers, who I so gracefully share in the ownership group for, were eliminated by the Detroit Lions. So I'll be watching.
The sad part is,
I'll be watching the this playoffs from the sidelines. But good luck to everybody who made it. I'll just have to delay my ring order one extra year, but it's all right.
Okay. The sad part is for the Lions is they win that game to ruin the season for the Packers, and they don't even get in. It's so sad. I wish the Lions were in. Nobody wants to see the Seahawks. They're going to get killed. At least the Lions, I think the Lions would have put forth some sort of effort, kept, the playoff game a little interesting, but the Seahawks, they're going to get rolled.
What's your opinion on Dan Campbell? I think that dude fires me up, dude. I would love playing for him.
I would love playing for him, and I think people do love playing for him. I don't know how you couldn't. So passionate.
Did they get the Lions got Hard Knocks this past year, right?
Yeah, did you watch it? It was actually pretty good.
No, and I really should get on that though.
It was pretty good. What's the in-season one was the Cardinals though, which was terrible.
And I feel like they've had the in-season one before.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but
the Cardinals just had a terrible year, so nobody cares what happened inside their camp. Fired Cliff Kingsbury today.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Yep. So the Cardinals will be looking for a coach.
This weekend's
But
going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this weekend's going to be a lot of fun. This playoff it's going to be interesting. And, I'm really excited for some of the teams who, some of the fringe teams that got in, like the Jaguars. I'm so happy the Jaguars won the AFC South. What a game against the Titans. A little bit of a shit game at the beginning, field goal games, but that's just how the Titans play the Jaguars. That's how the Titans play everyone. And, the Jaguars were just a better team, and they win the AFC South. They're in the playoffs. They got the Chargers in the first round of the playoffs, and that's going to be a good game. That's a team they've already beaten this year, a team that just had Mike Williams get carted off the other day, so they are most likely without him. Joey Bosa got hurt in that game as well. So, we'll see what happens. I would love to see the Jaguars go on a run. I think with Trevor Lawrence quarterback in that team, it's a lot of fun.
The Chargers open at -1.5 point favorites on this game. And honestly, if I'm a Jaguars fan, like, I'm looking at this game and I'm not afraid of this Chargers team at all. I'm very confident in. I'm drawing a blank. Trevor Lawrence. Oh my gosh! I was thinking, who plays quarterback for the Jaguars again?
Blake Bortles.
Yeah, literally. And the money line's -105. So this is pretty much a toss up. This game, honestly. And in looking at the entire slate as a whole, if I'm a Giants fan, I'm fired up too. I am fired up for Sunday.
Yep.
The Vikings are a very beatable team.
Very beatable team, and they've already proven that they can hang with them.
Right, and you can make that argument that the Giants should have won that game.
Yeah, exactly. I like the Giants this week. Minnesota has shown their weaknesses. They can't play defense very good, and the Giants are a team that likes to hang around and then have one thing go their way. If they get a couple breaks against the Vikings, there's no reason why they can't win.
I'll tell you who I'm betting on heavily this weekend. I think I might take Seattle plus 10.5. That's a lot of points for a playoff game.
I don't agree with you, but you go ahead. I won't tell a man what to do with his money.
Fair enough.
Public, it will be all over San Fran.
This is true.
But I just think with Purdy in his first playoff game, I think 10.5 is a lot of points.
I guess.
That's not my official pick, though.
I always forget that they have Purdy. I wish they had Jimmy G. They would literally win the Super Bowl.
Cowboys-Bucks on Monday night is going to be interesting.
Yeah, Tom Brady never lost to the Cowboys before, and I don't think he plans on losing now. I think the Bucks will probably win this game because the Cowboys can't win a playoff game, and Tom Brady loves winning playoff games. If the Cowboys beat the Bucks here, they're just rewriting history. Both teams, Tom Brady and the Cowboys. So,
yeah,
good luck, Cowboys. But if you look at the history books, you're gonna lose.
It's so funny to me too that this is a home game for Tampa at 8-9.
At 8-9, yeah,
yeah, that's great.
Just shows you play to your conference, I guess.
NFL rigged. Brady.
It's not. I mean, it's not rigged.
Well, I mean,
they play in a weak conference. I mean, look at their division. Look at their division. Their division's so weak. There's nobody there. It's so bad that they had to win at 8-9.
Goodell was going to try to find a way for Brady to get a home playoff game.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying. If he didn't have a home playoff game, he wouldn't have a playoff game.
You think he comes back next year?
Not to Tampa, but to the NFL, yeah.
Rodgers could be done.
I think Rodgers is retiring.
Maybe become a Jet.
No, I think Rodgers will retire.
I agree. I think it's more likely he retires, but
it'll be fun. Brady, my guess is Vegas or San Fran.
But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to in the NFL this weekend. Trevor Bauer officially released by the Dodgers. Zach, there's a lot of places he could go, and there's going to be a lot of teams vouching for his talent. I'm curious to hear who you think are going to be the bidders for Bauer. I have kind of trouble seeing who's gonna try to go after him here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really don't know. And we talked about it pre-show, and I told you there's two things that are going to either thing is going to happen. Either teams are going to take the route that teams that are in contention for World Series and just need that one extra veteran pitcher are going to go out and sign him. You know, I have teams like the Mets, the Astros, the Padres. Those are the teams I'm talking about. You know, those teams that have disposable money. It doesn't matter. He's not going to get a lot of money anyway coming off the suspension, I don't expect. But teams that just need that veteran arm, you know, to be a back end of the starting rotation kind of guy to help in the playoff push. I think there's definitely a possibility of him starting the year as a free agent and not getting signed until closer to, you know, the trade deadline. Now, there's another way that it could go in that he goes to more of a low market team that, you know, the bad publicity is whatever because the team is so low market, it doesn't matter. A team like Cincinnati or Cleveland, you know, two teams that he's already been on before. He won his Cy Young in Cincinnati. Cleveland is my favorite. I don't know if I don't think he's going to go there the most. I just think that's my favorite. That would be my favorite landing spot for him. I think he would fit perfectly into that Cleveland starting rotation between him, Bieber, and McKenzie with Cal Quantrill at 4.
Yeah,
that would be a
fun.
disgusting rotation that I would love to see. And, I really, really would love him to go to Cleveland. But if I was a betting guy, I would bet on one of these, you know, big market teams pushing for a World Series to go out and get him, like the Mets or the Astros.
I think it could be the Rangers, too. I think the Rangers could be.
Yeah, that's another one.
I mean, throw him in the mix with DeGrom. That 1-2, 2 Cy Young winners.
That rotation would be very impressive if they added Trevor Bauer to it. DeGrom, Bauer, Eovaldi, Odorizzi, Martin Perez.
Yeah, that would be scary. I almost wonder if
that would be scary.
I know Bauer's been working out in I believe he owns a facility that he puts up online and makes content on YouTube about him throwing and whatnot. I would be curious to see what ownership groups in Major League Baseball think about him not facing batters for almost a year and a half. Is going to do to his value.
I agree. He hasn't played baseball in almost 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of how you have to think about it. And you can work out as much as you want. He can be throwing even live at bats, like in the pen or on a field, even that. But that's practice. He hasn't been playing in major league games against major league talent for almost 2 years, and is that going to affect his play? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume yes.
I'd be skeptical.
I'm going to assume yes.
I'd be skeptical if I was a general manager right now.
Yeah, and I think general managers are skeptical, and I think they're going to be skeptical of him, which is why I do think that there's a possibility of him starting the year as a free agent. You know, I think this is going to be one of those times that he starts as a free agent, someone signs him, and they'll see if he plays well in the back half of the year. If not, see ya. And if he does, someone will offer him a contract. You know, it's going to be a slight PR headache, you know, for a team to sign him, but you're getting a former Cy Young Award winner. You know, he was a very good pitcher for Cincinnati. He was very good for Cleveland. The Dodgers went out and tried to get their guy, and, you know, shit happens. But he'll be back this year. I do expect him to play this year. Somebody will pick him up. My money would be on Mets, Astros, Padres, and I do, now that you say it, like the Rangers there as well.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting about this whole situation is I was under the impression the entire time that the Dodgers were going to cut him. This didn't come to a surprise to me, but apparently the Dodgers flew him out to their camp in Phoenix midway through the week last week. And according to Bauer, there were some conversations with him and ownership, and upper management on this team that he was going to pitch with the Dodgers this year. I don't know if you saw this, but there was conversation that they wanted him on the team this year, and then I don't want to say they almost backhanded him, but it definitely seemed on social media that Trevor was a bit shocked that this is the way it turned out. But the Dodgers are entitled to handle their team the way they want to handle it. So Bauer will be in someone else's hands. I'm assuming probably soon, but to your point, it could be a midway through the season signing if someone goes down with injuries. Plus, if you sign him in May or early June, there's not necessarily a rush to get him to the big leagues. You can have that guy just sit in AAA for a week or 2-3 weeks, and just really work on getting the feel back out there on the bump.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. I'm really interested to see, who does go out and get him. We haven't really heard any rumblings really of anybody who says that they want him, or he hasn't really been connected to anybody.
I feel like it's definitely like once one team starts getting floated out there, more teams will start to bite. I think it's a situation where someone's probably afraid to make the first move right now.
100%.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them because, with the things that happened, it's very sensitive, obviously. I mean, there were no criminal charges against him, and he wasn't arrested, but the allegations are so serious that you have to take that into account. And
right.
You have to, decide, is this the kind of, PR I can handle on my team? And is this the kind of player that I can handle on my team? And I do think that there are some organizations out there that don't really care about the PR and don't really care about what he's done in his past. They care about that he's going to go out there and give them a, sub 3.5 ERA and throw a lot of strikeouts and, help them win a World Series. I think that's on a lot more general managers' minds than, the PR headache. So I do expect him to go somewhere this year. And, it'll be exciting to see what he's got when he gets out there.
Yeah, and I believe he doesn't officially clear waivers until, I believe, Friday. Thursday, it's the end of this week, so the Dodgers could still trade him. So as unlikely as that is, definitely keep an eye out for that. Because I believe the Dodgers would still have to eat his contract no matter if they traded him or not, because he's already been designated for assignment.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe, maybe someone trades him. It's unlikely, but, I mean, crazier things have happened, so.
Hopefully we get some more news on that within the coming weeks.
Absolutely. Should we get into some winners and losers for this offseason?
Let's do it. So me and Chris, both of us, we came up with three people that we thought, were our favorite off seasons, absolutely won the off season, and 3 that, they just didn't do quite enough. So Chris, we'll start with you with your first favorite winner of this off season. Who's your first one?
I'm going the New York Mets on the first one. And
Surprising.
It's a pretty obvious pick on this one. Adding in Verlander, getting Senga, David Robertson, Quintana, Omar Narvaez. I mean, Cohen and upper management quickly replaced DeGrom, Bassett, Walker, Trevor Williams. These are huge additions to the team. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we bounce back after losing a franchise guy like DeGrom, but I don't think it's going to stop this team's momentum at all. I mean, we're a 100-win team basically without DeGrom for the entire season last year, so I don't think it's going to cause that much of a halt to our production moving forward. And obviously the big signing, getting Diaz back in the back end of that bullpen, because historically with the Mets, like, the bullpen has been very shaky. So having Diaz locked in down there for the bullpen, grabbing Otto back in there too, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do this year.
Yeah, the Mets are obviously the team to beat this year. They're the team everybody's talking about, and they're the offseason that everybody was talking about.
And of course,
they just made moves. Steve Cohen's done it. He's done it.
Right. He has definitely made true on his promises to Mets fans that he was going to spend money on this team. Obviously, at the time of recording this, there has been no resolution to the Correa signing yet. All signs are still pointing towards the Mets, although things could change in an instant and he could flip to go somewhere else. But assuming this goes in, Cohen will have spent upwards of what I believe it's got to be upwards of $750 million committed this offseason. I mean, with Nimmo, Diaz, Verlander, Correa. I mean, these
Senga.
are massive contracts. Senga. I mean, these are massive contracts that he's put up on his payroll. So, like I said earlier, Cohen doesn't give a shit about your luxury tax. He's going to keep spending. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. There's nothing really more you can say than unfortunately for us now, you never like to use this phrase, but at this rate, it's World Series or bust. And that's where we are. All our chips are on the table. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the season, but there's no doubt that we have to have the top seat at this table for winners in the offseason.
100%. And my first favorite of the offseason was the New York Mets as well. And you can't deny what Steve Cohen is doing, and you can't deny that the Mets had the best offseason. It just is that. It's simply that. They spent the most money, but they spent money in smart ways. They replaced Jacob deGrom. They replaced everyone they lost in that rotation. They may not have added, a big bat if the Correa deal does not go through.
Right. But we locked Nimmo up, which is great for us.
Exactly. You may not have added a big bat in Correa, but signing Nimmo back is huge. And locking him up for a good portion of time, I think, is very big to be your everyday center fielder. And the Mets it's their year. It's their year. It's going to be their year for the next couple of years. And, we're excited to see where things go. Hopefully, the Correa deal goes through and the Mets will be off and running.
Fingers crossed on that one, but it looks like Correa is going to be our third baseman for the next decade or so.
Yep. So my next favorite, since, you took the Mets, would be the Texas Rangers. And, we've talked a lot about the Texas Rangers on this show. I just love this offseason for the Texas Rangers for one reason only, and that's because they spent money where they needed to spend money, and they got out of there. Going into last season, everyone saw the Texas Rangers go out and put up $500 million for Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. And they were thinking, what the hell are they doing? They don't have the pieces to go out and sign these guys. But what the Texas Rangers decided to do was sign those guys, and then they took this offseason, this year, to address another issue, which was their starting rotation. They go out and they spend big money, and they sign Jacob deGrom. Love it. Absolutely love it. They got their ace for the next 5 years. Congratulations, Rangers fans.
Yeah, you got the best pitcher on the planet.
There. They weren't done. They signed Andrew Heaney, who had a career year last year in LA. Then they re-signed Martin Perez, who has been iffy for them, but it's another veteran pitcher who has been on the team and has been pretty solid. They trade for Jake Odorizzi from Atlanta, another great veteran pitcher for their bullpen, and then for the rotation. And then to round out the rotation, they go and they sign another great veteran pitcher in Nathan Eovaldi. I love the Rangers offseason. I think they have used this offseason to solidify themselves to having a top 5, top 10 rotation in baseball, when last year you would have argued that they had a bottom 5 rotation in baseball. Just a couple smart signings with that one big big whale in Jacob deGrom signing, and you find yourself with a top 5 rotation in baseball, and I'm excited for the Texas Rangers now.
Yeah, it's amazing how one guy can change the whole perspective of your team. If you look at the Rangers 6 months ago when they were bottom of the pack in the AL West, and now you look at them and you could say maybe they'll, make some noise in that division at some point down the line. But the Rangers definitely get their guy in DeGrom. When healthy, he's obviously the best pitcher on the planet, so there's no denying that fact. And you get him for a reasonably good price for, like I said, if healthy, like this is a great deal for their organization. And it's great for Rangers fans. The past 2 off seasons have been great for them. Their ownership has clearly stated that they want to win, and they want to win now. And they've definitely been putting their money where their mouths is. So it's time for those players to go out and perform. But I 100% agree with you that this is, if I'm a Ranger fan, this is a very great offseason because you went out there and you got the big fish in the sea. So
they got the big fish, and they surrounded that big fish with little fish to help him, and I love it. I love it.
What a great metaphor that was.
That's why they're on my list as one of my favorites. What's your next one?
What a great metaphor.
Thank you. They used to call me Edgar Allan Poe back in high school, but not anymore. I'm a poet.
That's a little dark.
And I don't even know
of an author to
I don't even
describe
show
yourself
it either.
to. It's a little. I was thinking more along the lines of Dr. Seuss, but wow, we're going that route.
No. Whoa. Dr. Seuss is a clown. Okay. Edgar
That dude
Allan
had
Poe.
bars. That dude had bars.
Guy.
Let's relax here a little bit.
Is there a team in the NFL named the Seusses? No, there's the Ravens for Edgar Allan Poe. That's sick. Football team named after him. That's how cool he was.
So the next up on my list are the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies went out and grabbed Turner, Taijuan Walker, and Matt Strom. After not really losing that much of significant talent, I mean, Syndergaard walked out the door. You do lose bullpen guys and David Robertson and Brad Hand and Zach Eflin, but I don't really see a way that the Phillies got worse this offseason. I think they only got substantially better. You pair Turner up with the long term with Harper. I think the outlook for this team for the next decade is great.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the Phillies, they did what they had to do, and they got their big guy in Trey Turner to play shortstop for the next 11 years or whatever it is.
Right. And we saw what this team was capable of this offseason.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily like they needed to go out and get more talent.
No, you let some of the pitching go, which is obviously unfortunate, losing a guy, like David Robertson or Eflin too. But this bullpen still has pieces. Sir Anthony Dominguez, I think he's phenomenal in the bullpen, and they still have guys like Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler to keep that rotation solid. And I think the Phillies are going to be solid this year. I do think they're going to be another wild card team, which is the unfortunate part about playing in the NL East against the powerful Mets. But the Phillies are still going to be very good this year. They're still going to be in that playoff, and I think having Trey Turner at shortstop every day is going to be great for them. I think Bryson Stott being able to move over to second base only helps him even more as well. His glove is so much better at second. He has the arm for second, not for shortstop. I think it's great that they're going to be able to move him over. That tandem up the middle is going to be probably the fastest middle infield in baseball. And, I'm excited for the Phillies. It was a great offseason, and they deserve to be on this list just for the Turner signing period.
I think that they've already done the heavy lifting that they have already needed to do this offseason to remain a contender in the NL East and the National League in a larger scale. I think looking forward to make this a real slam dunk of an offseason, you probably have to get one more starter and maybe one more reliever, and then the team looks pretty well-rounded for next year. But when you look at this lineup, man, the first 7 hitters, Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Real Muto, Harper, Hoskins, Castellanos, Bohm. Like, dude, there's not a hole in that first 7 men in that lineup.
Nope. It
So the
is.
NL East is
That's an
going to be a
all-star
lot of fun
lineup,
this
dude.
year. A lot of
It
fun
is.
in the NL East.
Baseball is going to be a lot of fun. There's just a lot of good teams out there.
78 days till opening day.
Oh, yeah. Counting down, baby. We should get a counter on the screen.
We should. Zach, your last winner.
My last winner this offseason is a little bit different, and I went a little different route. This was just one of my favorite off seasons. It may not have been the best. Everyone may not have thought it was great, but me personally, I think this team just made themselves so much better in small ways, and that's the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners this offseason, they didn't have that much money to play around with signing Robbie Ray 2 years ago, giving Castillo an extension after they traded for him, signing J-Rod to a long-term deal. They had put up a lot of money already in this offseason, so they weren't really out there to, go and sign guys to long-term deals, which they didn't. But they made 3 trades this offseason that I think makes their team so much better. And we know the Seattle Mariners are going to be there next year. I've talked about their starting rotation. It's one of my favorite in baseball with Gilbert, Kirby, Castillo, and Ray.
Yep.
And they just made their lineup so much better. Listen to this, all right? They get rid of Mitch Haniger. That's an unfortunate loss, but that's okay. He leaves in free agency, goes to the Giants. Carlos Santana had a good back half of the year last year, but that's not who you want as your everyday DH. They lose Adam Frazier. Wasn't good in Seattle at all. Shouldn't have been there. Thank God he's gone. And they lose Matt Boyd in free agency. But here's the trades they made. They go out and they get Teoscar Hernandez from Toronto, which I think is great for them. They needed more of a power in the outfield to play corner outfield. Teoscar has a good glove as well. I expect him to hit at least 25 home runs next year, and it's a good guy to play alongside J-Rod. They get rid of Jesse Winker in a trade as well. Jesse Winker played horrible for the Mariners. He didn't want to be there. He was expressing how he didn't want to be there. You could tell he didn't want to be there, and they didn't want him there. So they trade him to Milwaukee. And they get back Colton Wong. Colton Wong, in my opinion, is the perfectly average second baseman that you want on your team. Like he does everything.
Great depth.
It's great depth. He's going to start at second for them, and he's such a solid infielder. He's consistently solid. He has a good glove. He can hit pretty good for average. He can hit, he can give you a couple doubles here and there. He's not going to hit, probably plus 8-10 home runs, but he's a good, solid, everyday second baseman that they can slide in and be definitely better than Adam Frazier. And then just a very slight trade that they made that is one of, honestly, my favorites is they get rid of Kyle Lewis, which I am so happy that they have because the guy he basically lives in the hospital. All he does is get hurt. He's gotten hurt every single year since he won Rookie of the Year. And he was just done. So they send him to Arizona for Cooper Hummel, and I love this trade because Cooper Hummel is a great backup contingency plan for Jared Kelenic if he doesn't have it again this year. They're probably going to run Kelenic out there on opening day, but if he puts up the same season he has the past 2 seasons, he's getting most likely DFA'd, and Cooper Hummel is going to come in and start. And he's a great defensive outfielder. He'll be a great contingency plan if Kelenic doesn't work. The Mariners, I think they're really the team to watch this year.
I agree with you. And, they just went out and grabbed Pollock, too. That's a recent signing. So that's more depth that they added.
That's right.
But, man, this team is going to be fun, dude. This, for a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in 20-plus years and now to have a completely loaded slate of talent in their locker room, Seattle's going to be bumping all year long, dude. This is going to be awesome to watch.
I think they're going to chase Houston for the division. I really do.
So that AL West just keeps getting better.
They just, better and better. Between them and Texas, it's gonna get interesting within the coming years. All right, what about you, Chris? Who's your last team?
So I want to address something before I hop into my last pick here. On our last podcast, when we were talking about over and unders for teams, I disrespected Blue Jays fans and their team. So I want to apologize for that. I have a little sour taste in my mouth with the Blue Jays, but they're my last winner of this offseason. The Blue Jays went out and grabbed Bassett, Kevin Kiermaier, who I think is still a top defender in this league, even though his bat is not there anymore, and Dalton Varsho. Like, this is a very underrated trade that the Blue Jays made.
Yep.
And there's still a lot of talent there to be had. And I know they did lose some pitching with Stripling heading out the door, Rafael Tapia leaving, Jackie Bradley Jr. leaving, but I think this team still has a lot of talent to fill those holes. And Teoscar is another one who left to Seattle. But look, I honestly think that I'm going back on my take that I had the other day that the Blue Jays are not a good team, because that's obviously an idiotic take.
I'm happy that you were able to listen to that take and realize what you were saying.
Well, see, I just think there's so confused. There's a lot of. It could be. This could be a team where you don't really know what you're going to get out of it. A lot of the times, you're so. They're so built on these young guys and these talent that I don't fully trust them in a division race.
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
They didn't lose a lot to necessarily say that they're going to be bad this year. But I think overall the offseason, they filled the holes they needed to fill, and I think this is going to be a very good wild card team come playoffs in October.
Agreed. I mean, I think you lose Teoscar, and that is a little bit of a hit. He was very good for them in the outfield. But adding a guy like Dalton Varsho to play defense in the corner outfield for you, maybe catch a little bit, but I expect him to play a lot of outfield. They already have Kirk and Jansen to catch. They don't really need him to catch. Having a guy like that to round out your outfield is huge for them. They really struggled defensively last year, and they have in the past. Having a guy like Dalton Varsho out there is going to be great, and he's another young guy with tons of control, and he hits the shit out of the fucking ball too. So that trade, I think, has gone really under the radar. Not everybody's really talking about it as being, this huge trade. I think that's a great trade, and I think it's going to be great for Toronto. I think they had a great offseason.
Not to mention,
we talked about last episode.
Yeah,
their whole season is going to ride on, can Jose Barrios pitch like he used to, or is he going to pitch like he did last year?
Right.
That's how their season's going to go. If he can figure it out, they're going to figure it out. If he can't, they might not, and this could be a scary team.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that Varsho is a lefty, and this is a predominantly righty lineup. So it adds more balance. So that's an issue they had to address at some point this offseason.
Absolutely, and I'm glad they did. Now moving on to our, I wouldn't say losers of the offseason, but our least favorite offseason. Some of them are losers, and some of them are just, our least favorite. They did make moves, but they should have made more, or I didn't like the moves they made. So, Chris, you start us off. What's your first one?
The Los Angeles Dodgers. And this is a team that lost Trey Turner, Cody Bellinger, Justin Turner, Joey Gallo, Tyler Anderson, Andrew Heaney, Craig Kimbrell, David Price, Chris Martin. The list goes on and on. And the really only signings that you can really feel strongly that this team needed to make was they had to get back Kershaw. They definitely had to go get another pitcher because the rotation's been hurt in the past 2 years. So they get Syndergaard to pair that up. And then also they go out and get JD Martinez. But this huge, massive amount of talent that they've lost this offseason, and they really haven't done anything to fill this gap. This is an interesting time for Dodgers fans because I know they have a lot of talent in-house, but you also lost a lot of talent in-house.
No, the Dodgers have such a luxury because they are so good at developing their young talent, and they always do have a lot of young talent in their farm system that they can get away with years like this where they lose, a ton of guys. They have guys that are going to come up and fill roles, but I think this was a huge loss offseason for the Dodgers. They lost a lot of guys. Losing an MVP caliber player like Trey Turner is going to hurt them. Yes, Gavin Lux is going to be a very solid shortstop, but is he going to be Trey Turner? No, he's not going to be Trey Turner. You add JD Martinez, but you lose Justin Turner. Okay, you lost pretty much the same player. It's pretty much an even trade. You lose Cody Bellinger, your former MVP. You lose a couple pitchers. There, you can only lose so many players before people start, questioning, are they going to be the same team next year? And obviously we don't think their Dodgers are going to be bad next year. We're not saying that. But I would have liked to see the Dodgers go out there and maybe if they don't sign someone, at least re-sign someone.
Yeah.
This is
the most vulnerable the Dodgers have looked in a long time. And I think when you have a team like the Padres who are making moves, you have to remember 6 months ago, the Padres went out and grabbed a perennial MVP candidate in Juan Soto.
Yep.
So now you can make the argument that the Mookie Betts trade to Los Angeles, well, guess what? San Diego went out and got their MVP caliber kind of guy too. And he's not the only one on that team that has that talent. You still have Tatis there. So there's a lot to be worried about if you're a Dodgers fan. Yeah, Machado. There's a lot to worry about if you're a Dodgers fan right now.
I agree. You have the Padres right at your tail trying to overtake you for the division. The San Diego Padres, they're tired of coming second in this fucking division. They really are. They want to come in first in this division, and the only way to do it is go out there and spend more money than the Dodgers do, and they did it. So we'll see what happens when the year starts, but I don't see why the Padres can't go and win this division.
This could be a year where the winner of the NL West is upwards of 110 games. You can win 105 games, come in second, and be in a wild card spot. So it's going to be interesting to see. The Dodgers, I'm sure the wheels are already turning in the front office, and there's some sort of move to address some holes in this lineup. I mean, hey, maybe Jason Hayward will come step back in for these guys. They grabbed him on a minor league deal. That would be fun. That'd be
hilarious.
But hey, we'll see what happens. I'm sure that the Dodgers are, like always, they're always going to be very active in the trade market, and come deadline in July, I'm sure they'll be huge buyers. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But right now in the offseason, they are one of my losers. So suck it, LA.
Let them know. All right, my first least favorite offseason. I'm gonna get called biased for this, but it's the Boston Red Sox. Everyone's heard me talk about the Boston Red Sox since we started this podcast, and I haven't had great words for them. And I don't have any right now. They're on this list not because I'm a fan of them, but because they had a terrible offseason. They lost their homegrown player in Xander Bogaerts. Their fan-loved player. Everyone loved Xander Bogaerts. He leaves. You lose Eovaldi. You lose Strahm. You lose Martinez. You lose Tommy Pham. You lose Waka. You lose Rich Hill. Not huge names, but Xander Bogaerts obviously kills you. Nathan Eovaldi, that guy led you to the pennant series in 2021. Michael Waka had a career year last year. JD Martinez has been on the team, for 4 or 5 years, and he's had the best years of his career here. And what Heimblum and ownership does for the Boston Red Sox, they go out and they sign 3 relievers, Justin Turner and Yoshida from Japan, when we don't even know what he's going to do.
It's definitely
That's how they
respond. It was definitely an interesting game script this offseason for the Boston Red Sox.
The Boston Red Sox are on this list for one reason and one reason only, and it's because nobody knows what they're doing. So I had to put them on the list. It pains me to put them on the list, but I had to.
Yeah.
The only good thing they did this offseason, in my opinion, I do like the Yoshida signing. I think he got too much money, but I like the signing. But the real only good thing they did this offseason was they signed Rafael Devers to an extension last week. That's the only really good thing. That's the only thing that's really made me super happy. Like, I'm happy that we're making the bullpen better, but why? What's the point of making the bullpen better for a 72-win team? There's no point. So, they made this list because they made too many mistakes this offseason with letting Bogarts walk, having the whole song and dance with Devers before they even extended him. And people just don't know what's going on in Boston. So that's why they made the list, and it makes me very sad. Very sad. And I'm done talking about the Red Sox now. Forever.
I'm so sorry we had to put you through that.
Oh, I know your team is on the best off-seasons list. You don't know what it's like.
I know it's a touchy subject, but we have a World Series in the last 5 years. Let's calm down.
More than one. Not in the last 5, but...
No, not in the last 5.
At least in my life. At least I've seen way more than you in my life.
All right. Let's settle down over there. I'm sticking with the NL West for my second pick of biggest losers of this offseason. I'm going with the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, it had to happen.
And I'm not shitting on them for the Correa deal because obviously the Mets have an issue with the... Not really. I'll get to you what I'm shitting about in a second about this team because, trust me, they're going to hear it from me. I'm not blaming them about the Correa because obviously there's red flags about his leg or his ankle, whatever it may be. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is we heard for months that Aaron Judge was going to be a San Francisco Giant. I mean, you might as well have written this guy off to be a San Francisco Giant. And not only do they not go after and get him, their biggest offseason addition was either Michael Conforto or Mitch Haniger right now. Yep. And you lose a guy with the caliber of... You lose a pitcher as the caliber of Rodon. But for a team that really was banking on the fact... I'm not saying maybe even ownership, but the fan base who's banking on the fact that Judge was going to be their guy, and then after that fell through, Correa was going to be their guy. Like, there's been a lot of ups and downs of this offseason for Giants fans. I feel for them. But for looking at it from an ownership perspective, they had to do something to really boost the morale of not only the team, but the fan base and get everyone back involved. And so far, I've seen nothing that really does that for me. So that's why I'm putting them in my losers category here. There needs to be something done at some point if you're a Giants fan. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if it might be trade market. Like, they're a good, very marketable team. So
they are,
and I feel for the fans. They should be able to attract larger talent to go there.
They tried their best this year, and it just wasn't enough. And maybe next year, but this year I don't think is the Giants' year. Hopefully, Conforto has a good year for them. I think he will, but we'll see what happens with the Giants. I think they're going to struggle. Actually,
am I allowed to change a take?
Go ahead, change whatever you would like.
I'm going to remove the Blue Jays out of my winners.
You're going back on it now.
No, I'm not going back on the fact that they're a bad team. I feel like I have a team who's looking at the Giants, considering they lost Rodon. I think I'm bumping the Yankees to my winners. Signing Judge, guy who is obviously an MVP caliber player. Adding Rodon, who's now the top 2 guys in your rotation, could win the Cy Young. Even though you lose like Benintendi, Chapman, Carpenter, I think the Yankees are my winner this offseason for keeping Judge, Rizzo, and getting Rodon.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and they could have made it anybody's list. They're definitely up there with the Mets.
I think they just did a little more.
I didn't want to be basic, Chris.
I didn't want to be basic either. But now that I'm looking at it, I like them a little more than the Blue Jays, just for the fact that.
That's fair. No, I agree. That's fair.
As I was talking through the Giants take, and I was saying we pretty much wrote off the fact that Judge was going to become a Giant. I think it was big enough for the Yankees to pick up for me to consider them a winner. And getting Rodon, they're obviously a better team than they were last year now. So
fair. All right, my second loser this offseason, and they were a loser. It's not my least favorite. They were losers. Is the Baltimore Orioles. And the reason why is the Baltimore Orioles last year surprised everyone by making a run, and they almost made the wild card game. And it was crazy. It was a great run for Baltimore fans. It was a great run to watch in baseball. It was fun that the Orioles were good. They're a great young team. When the season ended, the general manager and ownership came out saying that they were going to, quote unquote, significantly increase the payroll. They didn't do that at all. They didn't even touch the payroll.
I think their biggest signing was Adam Frazier, 1 year, $8 million.
That was it. They signed Adam Frazier and they signed Kyle Gibson. That was all they did this offseason. And it's sad. You know, they don't really lose anyone. They lose Jordan Lyles. They lose Odor, whatever. But they didn't significantly increase the payroll like they said they were going to do. I feel terrible for Baltimore Orioles fans. I feel so bad for them. Their team has a good young core of guys that have been playing well and surprised the league last year, and they just didn't try to build around them at all. They didn't add a pitcher. Their starting rotation is terrible. It's so bad. You need a pitcher. I'm praying every day that I look at my phone and it says Baltimore Orioles signed Michael Wacha. They need a veteran pitcher on this team more than anything. And they haven't signed him, and that's why they're in the losers column. They didn't do anything this offseason to make their team better when they said they were going to, and they absolutely should have in order to compete in the AL this year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Fuck the Orioles. I'm mad.
I wouldn't say fuck the Orioles.
Well,
I mean, I'm still going to root for them.
They're in my division. I can't.
Fair. But I do agree. If you're gonna say increase the payroll, increase the damn payroll.
That's why I'm mad. What's your last one?
I'm going out to the AL Central for this one. I'm going Detroit Tigers as losers of this offseason.
Yeah.
I know there wasn't a lot to do here. But man, could this team have done a lot to make themselves better.
I think they deserve to be in this category every year just because they signed Javier Baez.
Yeah. And they're still paying Miguel Cabrera $32 million for what this will be his last season, but you know, I'm not gonna laugh about that one too much because that'll probably be like what the Correa or the Lindor deal looks like in
it made sense at the time.
2034, but Detroit could have done a lot more. There's not much to say about this team, but I mean, look, there was obviously an attraction for Javi Baez to sign there last year. So there's definitely some things in the works in the farm system there, but man, like you got to trade some talent or you got to make yourself at least somewhat interesting. Like don't make this a full like boring offseason for your fans.
Yeah, and it's sad for Detroit fans because they had to watch their two best prospects come up and, you know, kind of suck really bad last year. And they really don't have anything to look forward to. And it would be nice to give them something to look forward to. And the Tigers really didn't. Nobody really expected them to, but it's just sad for teams like this, like the Tigers and the Royals and the Reds. It's just sad. You want to see them try to make moves, but you know they can't. But you got to at least try. And I know what you mean. I know why they're on your list, and it's just another sad team.
I thought they at least could have went out there and traded Andrew Chafin.
They should have.
I mean, he's a very marketable reliever
who had a good year last year.
And it's only 33. So
exactly.
I'm honestly shocked that they didn't go out and try to make a trade for him. He's a free agent now, or has he signed with somebody?
I don't know, honestly.
I don't think he's signed with anybody yet. I'm going to fact check that now, but he is a free agent.
That's a guy that they could have traded, or they could have done something.
He is a free agent, yeah.
They just didn't do anything. All right. Let's wrap up. This is my last pick. Least favorite off seasons. Here it is. And this is just one of my least favorites because I'm just disappointed, really. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. The St. Louis Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are on this list because I just wanted to see them do more. They go out, obviously, and they do sign Wilson Contreras to take over catcher for Yadier Molina, and I love that. It's a huge upgrade immediately. Molina obviously was getting very old, and Contreras is just better. He's a better hitter. He's going to be great behind the plate. So it's a great upgrade for them behind the plate, and I think he's going to be really good for them next year. Now, on the other hand, the St. Louis Cardinals did absolutely nothing to address the problems that they have in the starting rotation. Their rotation is lacking. It is lacking, and that was their problem last year, was that their rotation just wasn't it, and it wasn't going to be it going into the playoffs, and that's why they made the trade for Jose Quintana. And they let him walk after this year. I don't agree with that. I would have tried my best to re-sign Quintana, but they did not. He walks to the Mets. And now you're in the same spot you were before the deadline last year with a lackluster pitching staff. You know, they have Wainwright, who's back for another season. Michaelis is there, and they have a couple other guys. You know, Flaherty is probably going to come back up this year and be part of this rotation, but I wanted to see the St. Louis Cardinals go out and try to sign one of these pitchers. I wish they were in on Rodon. I really want them to, if they missed out on Rodon, so hopefully I've been looking for them to maybe trade for a Pablo Lopez. But they just have not addressed the problems in the starting rotation, and that's why I think they're one of the losers this year. Their team got slightly better with Wilson Contreras at catcher, but you guys don't really have anyone to pitch. And I think it's really going to hurt them come playoff time. Do I still think they'll win the NL Central? Most likely. But come playoff time, this team is going to struggle for the second year in a row because they don't have the pitching to do it.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked they weren't one of the they were, I guess they were players for Rodon and DeGrom to a certain extent, but I'm surprised they weren't really trying to pursue those guys hard.
Exactly, and it's what they needed. They needed an ace. This
and honestly,
team is an
more
ace
than Contreras. They needed that more than Contreras. I mean, Contreras is a nice piece, but I guess they really like the offensive production that you can get out of Contreras, and obviously a leader behind the dish is what they've been used to for the better part of the last 2 decades. So. Yeah, it made sense for the Cardinals to get a guy back there to really be an anchor behind the plate and be a face for the team. But, man, if you're a Cardinals fan, you know the ownership has money to spend. You know you're an attractive place for players to sign. You have a good team. You've arguably the best team in the NL Central. So it's like, why did you guys not go out and get a Rodon or a DeGrom or make a trade for somebody? It's definitely going to be in the minds of a lot of Cardinals fans after you have a guy like Quintana leave. So,
yeah, I just don't get it, dude. This is a good team with good pieces in the field, in the lineup. You have an MVP candidate in Paul Goldschmidt and Arenado at third, Edman at short. I mean, this is a team with good pieces. You have to complement those good pieces in the lineup with good pitching, or you have nothing. You really do. And they're going to win a weak NL Central, but if that's all you're trying to do, then I guess you're fine. If you're trying to make a run at the playoffs, you need an ace pitcher. I'm sorry. That's just the game we live in now. And they just don't have it. All right, so that wraps up our least and most favorite off seasons for this past off season. How about we get into some picks, guys?
Let's get into some picks.
Powered by Riverside.
All right. We got picks for Tuesday, January 10th. Yeah, we're not the best pickers, but we're doing all right. All right, we're doing all right.
Jake's been pretty hot with the
I think Jake's been pretty hot with the NHL picks. I have been very, very cold. Started 3-1, and I am 0 for my last 3.
I've won my last 3 bets.
I am now 4-3. No, 3-4. 3-4, and it's just sad. But
and boy,
I'm going to try to step it up this week.
I'm feeling good about this week's pick. I'm feeling really good about it.
Yeah? All right, you go first then. Go ahead.
I got Seton Hall going up against Patrick Ewing in the Georgetown Hoyas tomorrow. I'm taking the Seton Hall Pirates minus 9.5. We have a little thing that we like to say in the Big East called, you're playing Georgetown roulette tonight. Is Georgetown going to beat you? I don't think it's going to happen tonight. They're playing in D.C., but Georgetown has lost 26 straight Big East games.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that stat the other night.
So I love where the Seton Hall Pirates are standing coming into this game. They're not the best Big East team this year, but they got some guys who could definitely beat Georgetown. I mean, it's not that difficult to do. I'm taking the Pirates minus 9.5 tomorrow. Or tonight, excuse me.
Kid loves Big East basketball.
I love Big East hoops. What can I say?
For me, my pick, I'm actually also going to stay with college hoops. UNC against UVA, University of Virginia. They are ranked 13th in the country. UNC is plus 4.5, and I will be taking that spread. I love UNC. Great colors. And fuck Virginia. I hate Virginia. Ever since Ty Jerome and Kyle Guy went there and they went on a run in March Madness, I've hated Virginia, so I'm betting against them. UNC plus 4.5. Lock it in. It's gonna hit. Jake, give us your hockey bet.
We're going with the Yotes. The Yotes are at home. They're playing the Sharks. The Sharks are fucking trash. And I really like the Coyotes. And they're going to get Bedard next year, so they're probably good vibes. They're going to play good. Coyotes, money line.
The Yotes.
I love the Yotes.
That might be your most bet team.
I think I've taken them, or at least their game, 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it is to go to a Yotes game because they're still on ASU's campus, right?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably cheap.
Yeah, probably cheap as shit. All right, so should we do a roulette spin and get out of here?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good about today. I felt good about my pick. I woke up this morning and the first thing I said was, I think we're going to hit the roulette wheel today.
All right. I hope you're fucking right. So the random number for today was 36. 36, all right? And I have the wheel open, and we're spinning. We're spinning. 34. Oh my God. Dude, why are we so close every time?
We're going to get it.
I hate this. I actually hate that this is a segment that we do.
Because it's going to be so worth it when we hit it. It's going to be so worth it when we hit it.
What if we just never hit it?
Not with that attitude, we're not going to.
Yeah, you're right. We're definitely going to hit it on Friday.
So come back in to see if we get the roulette spin
come
on
back
Friday.
in on
everybody.
Friday. Absolutely. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. We will be back Friday, and we will be hitting the roulette spin. Come back Friday for a whole nother episode as Georgia just scores a wide open touchdown.
Go Toads.
Thanks everybody for hanging out, and we will see you on Friday.
Love you guys.